Let's start then, right? Good evening. So we have about 20, 28, 29 participants. Good evening to all of you. Welcome to this lecture on professional ethics, which is conducted as part of the professional review exam lecture series. Let me see if I can share my screen. Can you all see the screen, please?
Yes, madam.
Okay, thank you. So this is actually this lecture, the lecturer for this particular lecture is Mr. Russell De Silva, who has been doing it for many years. And only thing is from last September also I had to take it because he was not feeling too well. Same problem this time. So hopefully he will recover and then he'll take over. But today also I'm taking the lecture, right? If you actually look at the IESL website, his lectures are the recorded lecture, the last lecture that he gave is available in the website. I think that's very comprehensive, right? So do look at that also. And of course, the Mr. Gamage has also given a lecture. I think most of you would have followed that lecture too. Okay, so I will be basically looking at the IESL Code of Ethics and try to, with examples, we'll try and see what we can, how to make use of the IESL Code of Ethics in our professional life. Okay, so my lectures will be basically an introduction to ethics in general and codes of ethics. We'll be looking at IESL Code of Ethics a bit in detail. And then there is also the Engineering Council of Sri Lanka, the IESL. I think all of you must be aware of that. So that is where the engineers are, for practicing engineers have to get registered. I will just look at what that is, and then they also have their code of ethics. And we'll try to compare the different codes of the professional codes of ethics of professional engineering institutions internationally, and also the IESL. And then we look at some situations where you meet with ethical dilemmas and how we can use our code of ethics to get over the dilemmas and do the right thing. Okay. So first of all, what is ethics? If you look at the dictionary, one definition of ethics is an area of study that deals with ideas about what is good and bad behavior. A branch of philosophy dealing with what is morally right or wrong. By the way, can you all hear me? Oh, you can see some chat box.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, so off and on I'll be looking at the chat box, but sometimes, you may have to unmute yourself and shout out if there's something that you have to draw attention to, okay? So the value structure that guides the actions of a person, whether individual or corporate, in his, her, or their dealings with any other person or with society in general. So these are different definitions. So ethics is sort of a balancing act that helps us to do the right thing under certain circumstances, right? just like law also helps us do the right thing, but in a different context. Ethics is not so much a law. Let's get this out of the way. It's not a law. It's not as binding as law, but you will understand when it comes to professional ethics of a professional body, there is a binding. You have to abide by it. Otherwise, you can be punished for not acting according to the professional codes of ethic, right? So why have a code of ethics? One thing is to have a common understanding of the accepted good and bad behavior pertaining to a certain group, either professional group, a social group, religious group, ethnic group, right? So it's a good and bad according to the understanding. When you have a code of ethics, there's a common knowledge of what is accepted as good behavior and not accepted as good behavior, right? So it's a guidance for your behavior. Okay, so for example, if it's say religious codes are the most common thing. We as say each religious group has a code of it's not law, but we all say, for I'm a Buddhist and there must be quite a number of Buddhists among you. We have our pansil, that is our code of ethics, right? Everyone understands that if you are a Buddhist, you have to behave according to the 5 precepts, pansil. Not that everyone does it, but that is a expected behavior. Is you should not be killing, you should not be telling lies. The 5 precepts are understood by everyone because as a religion, we have that as a code. Similarly, the Christians have the 10 Commandments, right? And each religious group have their own accepted ethical codes. So that's a very common example of codes of ethics. Ethnics, sometimes, as Sinhalese or as Tamils or as Burghers, you may have certain accepted norms of behavior, right? So that's why code of ethics is good to have, so that there's a common understanding of good behavior and bad behavior, right? And also to establish a benchmark among the group members in respect of their dealings with any other person or with society in general. So where you should be, the benchmark, again, the acceptance, right? So if you are not, once you have the code of ethics, if you are not working according to the code of ethics, that means that you are not doing the right thing as understood by the group. And of course, IESL code of ethics is there. If you go to the website and home, under membership, you get the code of ethics, right? And we have 8 clauses in our code of ethics. Each clause has several rules to explain the application to situations. All members of IESL, particularly chartered engineers, are expected to conduct themselves professionally according to the code of ethics, right? So it's an expectation by the body, the professional body, that each and every member, especially the corporate members, the chartered engineers, abide by the code of ethics. And if any member is reported to behave in violation of the code of ethics, he or she will be dealt with according to the disciplinary procedures of IESL. So although it's not the law of the country, within the professional body, it is somewhat a law that if you don't behave according to the a code of ethics, and if you are reported, your membership, as long as you're a member of IESL, you will be your behavior will be inquired into, and then there will be even, if found guilty or if you are found fault with, you can undergo disciplinary procedures. Okay, so it's a serious matter when you are, especially when you are, because as you all would have seen, at the time of getting your charter, you said like taking an oath, you say that I will abide by these rules, this code of ethics, right? So that's a oath that we take. And if you are not behaving according to that, if you are reported and after inquiry, if you are found that you have not worked according to the code of ethics, you can be penalized, right? So it's a serious matter, and so that's why we make it a point that you understand, as you as a part of your professional review, as a part of your getting to become a charter, you are well aware of our code of ethics and what is expected, what your expected behavior should be when you become a chartered engineer, right? So as I said, there are 8 clauses, and under each clause there are rules. So the first clause I'm sorry, it's covered here. Have you all got the presentation already, or Sanjeeva? This can be shared, right? And I think this lecture will be up in the website in a few days, right? Now this thing is covering, I don't know how to get rid of it. Okay, there you are. So the clause 1 is, engineers shall hold paramount the health, safety and welfare of the public and proper utilization of the funds and other resources in the performance of their professional duties. Right? So as engineers, we will be working with people, right? And so therefore the number 1 priority is health, safety and welfare of the public and proper utilization of the funds and other resources in the performance of our professional duties, right? So that takes precedence over everything else. It shall take precedence over their responsibility to the profession, sectoral or private interest, employers, or to other engineers, right? So as we say, engineering is a people-serving profession, right? So we serve the people, and our work should make sure that the people's health, safety, and welfare are not compromised by any of the things that we do, right? And of course, public money is being used by most of our work. That also has to be looked after, right? So the 9 rules explain different situations that we may undergo under this particular clause. Rule 1.1 is, be truthful. So engineers, right, shall be objective and truthful in writing professional reports, issuing statements or submitting testimony. They shall include all relevant and pertinent information in such reports, statements, or testimony. We should not hide anything, right? We should be truthful, and we should give out our findings when we are studying something, when we are in our reporting, right? Then rule 1.2 is, shall endeavor at all times to maintain engineering services essential to public welfare. right? So it's an essential service for most of us are, most engineers are actually doing essential services, right? So whether it's we are all infrastructure is essential services, right? So shall endeavor at all times to maintain engineering services essential to public welfare. Then the third one is standards, maintaining standards. Shall work in conformity with recognized engineering standards so as not to jeopardize the health, safety, and welfare of the public. This is why we learn a lot about, our codes of practice, our standards to be maintained in our designs. But whatever field you are in, whether it is civil engineering, electrical, electronics, whatever it is, there are certain standards that, that's like our Bible, there are these uh, standards, isn't it? So that is because by doing a lot of research and through experience, those standards have been fixed to make sure that the public health, safety, and economy of materials, all those are looked at and maintained, right? So we have the say factors of safety. Those are in our, any design you do, right? So those standards have to be maintained because they are the ones that look after the uh, health, safety, and welfare of the public, right? Not to jeopardize the health, safety, and welfare of the public. So maintaining standards in whatever we are doing, it's of paramount importance. Shall not participate in assignments that would create conflict of interest between their clients, employers, and the public, and shall advise the client of their concerns. Whatever we are doing, we should not be risking the people and with conflict of interest. Your employer and the people's interest should not be different. Conviction shall, in the event of their judgment being overruled in matters pertaining to health, safety, and welfare of the community, inform their clients or employers of the possible consequences and bring to the client's employer's notice their obligations as professionals to inform the relevant authority. Right? So we should work with conviction that we should be satisfied that what we are doing is the right thing to do, right? The next one is, shall contribute to public discussion on engineering matters in their areas of competence, if they consider that by so doing they can constructively advance the well-being of the community. So engineers are not people who should be just, working within a room and then just giving out the designs or whatever for the people to accept, right? So it's very important that because when we do our work with conviction, we know that we are doing the right thing. We should be able to talk about it, discuss with the people, come on, whatever, if necessary, come to the media and explain what is happening and justify what you are doing. Shall contribute to public discussion, right? So it's a part of our job. We are not, it's not good enough for us to just do the engineering part and then keep quiet. Because if we are doing the right thing, we should be able to talk about it, right? That's why, again, it's important that our communication skills are good. We should be able to convince others. Okay, 1.7. This is called whistleblowing. Some of you may be familiar with this word. It says, having knowledge of any alleged violation of this code by others shall cooperate with the proper authorities in furnishing such information or assistance as may be required. Right. So that means if you find that someone else or your superior or your subordinates are not doing the proper thing in their designs or in their constructions or in whatever they are doing, the professional work that they are doing, if you find that they say they have not tested properly or they have fudged the results or something like that, it is up to you as a professional engineer to not go and fight with him. Try to convince him, if possible, to do the right thing. Failing that, you have to make others aware of it. That's whistleblowing. That you can't just, it's not my job. He has done it, so let him face the consequences and keep quiet. No, that's not proper. Right? Yeah, you are expected to look after the public interest, right? So even if you are not the one who is doing it, if you see that something is not happening the way it should happen, you should not keep quiet. You should try and avoid that happening, right? Because ultimately, as a professional, you are responsible for the professional work of your colleagues also. If you just keep quiet and something goes wrong, it might cause certain, damage, or sometimes, you see that someone has not checked a particular part of a structure and that it's likely to fail, and you just keep quiet because it's not me, it's him. Ultimately, you will also be responsible because you had the opportunity to correct that, you had not done it. Okay, so that's a part of our responsibility, whistleblowing. Not to shame that person or not to punish that person, but the higher, higher aim of public safety. Then next one is honesty. Shall not knowingly participate in any act which will result in waste or misappropriation of funds. Knowing that you do something for today, but then tomorrow it's going to be of no use. Public funds, not only public, even private funds, even resources should not be wasted, right? So this particular one is on misappropriation of public funds, which we are working for the government, you're accountable, right? Even otherwise, under environmental factors, resource wastage is not acceptable. So here, of course, it's about honesty, that you honestly, you will be using what is the economically best options. Then the last one there, the ninth rule, is having a dialogue. Shall actively contribute to the well-being of the society, and when involved in any engineering project or application of technology, shall, where appropriate, recognize the need to identify, inform, and consult affected parties to help resolve problems involved. So, whenever we are doing something, there are going to be some impacts on the environment or on the people that may be necessary, that cannot be avoided. So in such situations, it is the responsibility of the engineer to discuss, inform, and make sure that the people are aware of what's going on, and if at all possible, try to resolve the problems amicably, right? So again, not to hide behind the that it's I have to do it, therefore I did it. That's not good enough. You have to take responsibility for what you're doing and inform and talk to the people and try to amicably settle the problems. I'm sure most of you engineers would have come across this and done this. It's just that it's there in the code of ethics, which makes it your responsibility to do it. I'm sure, those who are working must have come across some of these anyway and done the proper thing. Okay, the second clause is on the honor of the profession. First one is our responsibility to the people, right? So second one is about the honor of the profession. As a profession, engineering professionals, we have to make sure that we act in such a way that we uphold and enhance the honor, integrity, and dignity of the profession while safeguarding the public interest at all times. Safeguarding public interest is number one, right? So that's while doing that, we also have to uphold the dignity of the profession, integrity and dignity of the profession. There are 5 rules under that. So first one is shall not involve themselves with any business or professional practice which they know to be fraudulent or dishonest in nature, right? So while you should be truthful in what you're doing, you should not be dishonest, right? So that comes as a, honoring our profession. We should not do dishonest things. Shall not associate with other persons, corporations, or partnerships to conceal unethical acts. Association, name dropping. That means you do something and you say that I'm so and so, like, and this one is my sister, this one is my brother, or my uncle, aunt, and therefore I can do this. It's all right. That's not acceptable. Name dropping. Third one is integrity. Shall not continue in partnership with or act in professional matters with any engineer who has been removed from the membership of this institution because of improper conduct. Okay, so this is a bit tricky in the sense that what you're saying is sometimes a very good friend of yours for some reason has done something wrong and he has been found fault with and he has actually committed something that's unethical and he has been removed from the membership, right? So this doesn't tell you not to be a friend with him anymore, but you should not be working in partnership on professional matters, right? So it's a bit complicated in some instances. It may be that a very close friend has, due to some reason, done something wrong. That doesn't mean that you should not be his friend anymore, but you should not be doing any work with him because he has been found fault with for improper conduct, right? So that's integrity, that you should at any time have the integrity, do the right, that you should be a person who does the right thing. Okay? No favoritism. Shall promote the principle of engagement of engineers upon basis of merit. Right? That means that, well, you understand what it says, no favoritism. You can't have favorites and then give the jobs or increments or whatever benefits to your favorites. It should be based on merit. Okay? Then fair payments for engineering staff. Now, this is something that sometimes our engineers fail to work with actually. shall uphold the principle of adequate and appropriate remuneration for professional engineering staff in keeping with their qualifications and market price, right? So sometimes, for various reasons, our senior engineers, hopefully a few engineers get the work out of junior engineers, saying that you should, when we were young, we didn't get the benefits that you all are getting and things like that. But personally, I of course do not like that, because we should not consider the younger generation of today as the same as what we were undergoing when we were young. You should look at the younger generation engineers as against the other professionals, rather than, when I was 20 years, world was different. I should not be considering that as the example that I treat the 20-year-olds of today, rather than look at the 20-year-olds of today who are engineers as against, businessmen or whatever. I think it's important that our senior engineers do that, and treat them appropriately, because that's how we can actually maintain the young people wanting to do engineering, and other thing to remain as engineers. Okay, so fair pay. So it is there in our code of ethics. Fair payments for engineering staff. We must make sure that they are satisfied remuneration-wise and other benefits, so that they can actually be uphold their status in society. Next one is this is correct. Clause 3 is on sustainable development, right? So we all know that this is coming up as a the very important thing in our life now, more so than what it was a couple of decades ago, because we know the impact of the things that we have been doing, the unsustainable behavior of humans, and the repercussions. Right. So now this should even this was put to clause 3 when about I was involved in the review of the code of ethics about 10, 11 years ago. At that time, now this should so we put it from somewhere like 6th or 7th clause, we put it to the 3rd. I don't know whether we should really put it as number 1 now, because without this, and engineers, we have a major role to play in the planet resources, right? So if we don't do it, the world is going to be unsustainable, because all disciplines of engineers, we are really very responsible for making use of the planet's resources. Right, so here what we say is engineers shall be committed to the need for sustainable management of the planet resources and seek to minimize adverse environmental impacts of their engineering works or applications of technology, so as to protect both present and future generations. Okay, so under that there are 6 rules. First one is environmental impact mitigation. Shall carefully evaluate adverse environmental impacts and incorporate practical remedial measures to minimize them in whatever that we are doing. Second one is environmental protection. Not only mitigate the harm, we must protect the environment. Our activities should be aimed at protecting the environment. Shall consider theoretical, legislative, regulatory, and policy aspects of environmental protection and sustainable management of the available resources. Cooperation for sustainable development achievement shall work in close cooperation with members of other professionals and disciplines on achieving sustainable development. Of course, we do this now, but are we doing enough is the question, right? So this should be now in the forefront of whatever we are doing. Is it sustainable? Can we make it better? Can we, in addition to just preventing the pollution, can we actually enhance the environment? So whatever we are doing, we should be looking at that side of the sustainable development. Environmental impact assessment shall critically analyze how the proposed project or the application of technology relates to sustainability considerations. Waste minimization, reuse, recovery, safe disposal. Now, of course, you get the circular economy and all that. Shall identify and assess options for material recovery and disposal. And conservation shall analyze opportunities for resource and energy conservation and design appropriately optimized systems, right? So I think now, of course, we are doing a lot of it. Engineers are focusing on sustainable development more so than used to be. And so it's very important that we do that, right? Then fourth clause is on own achievements. That is, engineers shall build their reputation on merit and shall not compete unfairly. You can compete, but not unfairly. So if you are doing something good, you can talk about it. You can take credit for it, but not sorry. Shall neither pay nor offer directly or indirectly inducements to others. So you should not be trying to get work or trying to get any benefits by bribing. Of course, bribery is not only unethical, it is illegal, right? So that's a no-brainer. You should not do it. Then second one is undercutting. Shall not attempt to supplant another engineer employed or consulting who has been appointed without his consent. Right, so that's again, I mean, it's understood that you should not be undercutting and misrepresentation. Shall neither falsify nor misrepresent their own or others' qualifications, experience, and prior responsibilities. So in your CV, for example, or if you're bidding for some jobs, you should be truthful in what you're doing. You should not misrepresent by saying that we did this and that when actually you have not done it. You should, right? So that's nothing to talk about. I mean, that's common sense. Malicious talk. Shall not maliciously do anything to tarnish, discredit directly or indirectly the reputation, prospects or business of others. Okay, so this is something that sometimes it happens that, when you want something done, you might say that, oh, that one, don't give it to that one because that one did this maliciously. Right, so that's to be avoided. Shall not use the advantage of a privileged position to compete unfairly with other engineers. Right, that again, like, you understand what's there. Connections should not be flouted as, the reason for getting a job. It should be on merit. modesty, shall exercise due restraint in explaining their own work and shall refrain from unfair criticism of the work of other engineers. Okay, so sometimes you have to, talk about what you do. And if you go to the, for example, if you go to the Facebook these days, you get a lot of people putting what their achievements. As long as they are the real achievements and they are proud of it, well and good, no problem. But you should not be putting down others or saying that you know what it means again, right? Unfair criticism of others should be avoided. And if again it's unethical, right? If you see someone doing that, it can be brought to the notice of the IESL, and then if as long as it's a member, IESL can take action. For sometimes if someone does something good and someone else claims responsibility for it, that's not accepted. Acknowledge, shall give proper credit for professional work to those whom credit is due. Right? So that means that if that's yeah, you can never do everything by yourself. You'll be making use of others' work to build on, right? That's very good. I mean, that's quite fine, as long as give credit to those who have actually done it before you. Okay, just like, giving references, citing other people's work, that's, you should not be, you should always give credit to a person who has been working with you and helped you to come up to this point, right? So that's, again, if you don't do that, that's unethical. Eighth one is, shall not resort to any form of plagiarism in their work. I hope you understand what is plagiarism. That means copying others' work, right? So you should not be copying others' work. This includes use of such materials as written text, statistics, or similar data, diagrams, illustrations, and photographs in reports, publications, examination answers, coursework submitted for academic or professional qualifications without permission, acknowledgement, or reference, as if it is the person's own work, right? So this, now with the internet being available, and it's very, sometimes without your knowledge, you may be doing this, but it's wrong, right? You just copy and paste someone else's work. That's not acceptable. If you do that, you have to acknowledge it. You got it from this reference, right? And of course, you get plagiarism software and all that to check. But with the AI and all that now, I don't know where we can actually stop it. But um, it's the. I mean, you should be true to yourself. If it's not your own work, don't say it's your own work. Get it from, you say you got it from there, but then, so it's, as long as you're working more on it, that's quite okay, right? But you can't just copy and submit it as your own work. Shall act with due regard to intellectual property rights of others in their work, right? So this is another thing that now it's, with all this patents and all that, intellectual property rights is becoming a very in thing, right? So be aware that other people's intellectual property rights have to be maintained. You can't just copy somebody else's design or somebody else's work. Next one is, shall not engage in unfair competition, including charging of extremely high or low professional fees compared to market rates, in delivering professional services. Okay, so that's, when you're competing for jobs or competing for some work, you should not be undercutting, or you should not be charging very high just because you are the only one who is capable of doing whatever. You should not be charging very high rates. You have to be fair in earning money. I think IESL has some consultancy fee structure is also there. I think IESL, you can't be just because you are the only one who is able to do it in the country or something. You should not be charging enormous amounts. You should be competitive, but it should be fair competition. Okay, the next clause 5 is you must be specialist. You must show your specialization only in the areas in which you are competent. Engineers shall perform professional services only in the areas of their competence. So there are 2 rules in this. First one is, shall undertake assignments only when qualified by education and experience in the specific technical fields involved. If an assignment requires qualifications and experience outside their fields of competence, they shall engage competent professionals with necessary qualifications and experience and keep the employers and clients informed of such arrangements. Right? So, you are not, you can be a jack of all trades, but master of none. No? So, I mean, you can't say that you're a competent person in civil, mechanical, electrical, electronics, everything. Right? So, if a job requires you to have certain specialist knowledge, which you don't have, you should take another person as a consultant or as a, give an assignment and get him to work with you rather than you try to do it on your own, or sometimes you might just go you might just go and uh, unofficially ask something and then write it as your own. That's not ethical. Right? If the work involves some specialist knowledge in some other areas, you are expected to hire a consultant or someone knowledgeable in that area, get his services and inform the client that I have done this, right? But you in your own area of competence, if you have some training and if you have experience and you are capable of doing it, that's fine. Anything else, you have to get the proper competent people to contribute. The next one is honesty. Shall not affix their signature to any designs or documents dealing with subject matter in which they lack competence, or to any plan or document not prepared under their direction or control. Right. So even as a senior member of IESL, I have been in some inquiries where our people have been very careless in their signature. Just sign for something and then, oh no, because he asked me, I did it. That is not, that's very irresponsible, very unethical, right? If you are signing for something, you should show that you are responsible for it. Okay, your signature is very valuable. Make use of it for the right purpose. And don't just blindly sign anything. Your signature has a value. I always tell, whoever that I'm dealing with, no, my signature I will affix only if I know I have done it. Or at least I know that what is done is correct and according to the standards. Please remember that. Your signature is very valuable. Make use of it for the right thing. Okay? Be honest about it. Sixth, clauses on loyalty. Engineers shall apply their skills and knowledge in the interest of their employer or client for whom they shall act in professional matters as faithful agents or trustees, so far as they do not conflict with the other requirements listed here as general public interest. Right? So you may be self-employed or you may be employed by someone else, right? So you are loyal. You have to be loyal to that employer and also loyal to the client for whom you are working, right? So because they trust you and it's not ethical for you to do something that breaches that trust. However, that is if as long as it doesn't for example, if it's going to be affecting the public health, for example, you are told to do something that your employer wants you to do something that is going to affect the public, say, for example, break something or build something that is going to affect the public, your first responsibility is to the public, right? So you should have the interest of the public as the topmost. So you don't, just because your employer tells you to do it, you should not be doing it. But you must convince your employer this is not the right thing to do. If it is either something that's affecting the environment or social impact, whatever, don't just go just because you are being faithful to your employer or loyal to your employer doesn't mean that you should do whatever he tells you to do. You are a professional, you should have your professional standards, you should have the code of ethics in your head. What is the most important thing? It's a public interest and environment, and then only comes this faithfulness, right? So not that you should be going behind his back and doing something wrong, something else, but you should, that's another very important reason why this code of ethics is there, as far as I see it. When you have the code of ethics, you are backed by it. As a professional engineer, I am not supposed to do this because, it is violating my code of ethics. I can't do it. You can tell your employer or client or whoever is expecting you to do it. Say that my code of ethics is very clear on this. I have to make sure that the public interest is maintained or the environment is sustainably maintained, and therefore I can't do this. Right? So it's to me it's like another uh, thing that's helping me to uh, work according to my conscience. Right? Okay, so this one is about loyalty. Shall at all times avoid all known or potential conflicts of interest that involve the engineer himself. They should keep their employers or clients fully informed on all matters, including financial interests, which could lead to such a conflict. And under no circumstances should they participate in any decision which could involve them in conflict of interest. Right? For example, you are working for a client, and you also have a company that either you have a company or someone, a very close person has a company that is supplying a particular type of equipment that is to be used. You have to, you don't have to say, not take up the job, but you have to be open about it. You must declare your conflict of interest. I I have this particular person who is my brother or myself, or so as long as you're open with the other party, that's not an issue. But you should not be hiding things and then you making use of your connections to uh, do things that are not very loyal to your employer, right? Then second one is neutrality. Shall, when as administrators of a contract, be impartial between the parties in the interpretation of the contract. This requirement of impartiality shall not diminish the duty of engineers to apply their skill and knowledge in the interests of their employers and clients. So this is being neutral, where, when you have to compare certain bidders or whatever, you should be impartial. And of course, you have to use your knowledge and skills to back up what you're saying, right? But you should not be taking sides. Shall not accept compensation, financial or otherwise, from more than one party for services on the same project, unless the circumstances are fully disclosed and agreed to by all interested parties. Right, so you are being paid by someone and then you get some other, someone else might pay you something more to do something, that kind of thing is not acceptable, right? Integrity shall neither solicit nor accept financial nor other valuable consideration, including free engineering designs from material or equipment suppliers for specifying their products, except such designs obtained with the knowledge and consent of the employer or client. Right, again, this is like this. I mean, I hope you understand this one. That means you rather than doing a design, sometimes you might be tempted to use the design of a supplier, and then with the design they will provide everything, and then you might give it as your design. That's not acceptable. However, if you have selected that particular product or whatever based on sound engineering knowledge, and if you feel that their design is good, you can disclose it and then use it, right? So, like deciding on a type of cement or some equipment or something, this will come in your work. But in the selection process, you might find that there are advantages of using one kind as against another. So you have to be very careful. You have to get your engineering principles sorted, and then only use. You may want to use the another person's design, the company design, but do it knowingly, and also getting the clearance from your employer or the client. Next one is bribery. Shall neither solicit nor accept gratuities directly or indirectly from contractors or their agents or other parties dealing with their clients or employers in connection with work for which they are responsible, right? No bribery, that's a given. Then next one is corruption. Shall not accept a commission, fee, reward, or other benefit from a third party while advising a client. That's corruption. Then conviction. Shall advise their clients or employers when, as a result of their studies, they believe that a project will not be viable. Now, this again is something that may create conflicts, right? Because you are being paid to do a job. You might, but when you do your designs or your research or your studies, you'll find that this is not going to be viable. But your employer is wanting you to do it. Do you still do it? Or do you try to tell him, convince him that if you do this, it's not going to be viable, you're going to get into trouble. Just because he's employing you, paying you your salary, you should not be just doing what he's doing if you are convinced that it's not going to be viable, financially viable, right? So after finding out that it's not viable, if you don't tell him, discuss with him, then that's unethical, because later on he might realize that you have done something very bad by uh, leading him on, right? So you must work with your own conviction. If you think that, if you do a study and find out that something is not proper, you must go back to your client or employer and disclose it. Confidentiality shall neither disclose nor use confidential information gained in the course of their employment without express permission, except where public interest and safety are involved. Now here, when you are working for a client, you have certain information, data that you have got for that particular job. You should not be going and publicly declaring those things, right? If they are confidential, say maybe trade secrets or whatever, unless if public interest and safety are involved, right? So this is like whistleblowing. If public interest and safety are involved, you may have to actually disclose what you have found as confidential information. But again, that takes precedence over the confidentiality with your employer, right? So there is no conflict if what you're asked to do and what you have found out is going to be of harm to people or the property or the environment, just because it is confidential information that you are expected to keep confidential, the public interest takes priority. Okay. Then integrity shall not complete, sign or seal designs and or specifications that are not safe to the public health and welfare and in conformity with the accepted engineering standards. If the client or employer insists on such unprofessional conduct, they shall notify the proper authorities and withdraw from further service on the project. Right? This again is very important, because sometimes just because you are an employee of a client, you may think that I have to do this. Not if you are a chartered engineer, you are not expected to do that, because again, if it is going to be of public health, a public health hazard, you should not be doing it, right? You should not be putting your signature on a design or whatever if you are convinced that it's going to be a public health hazard. And if after talking to the employer, if he still insists that you have to go ahead with it, best thing is to just get out of that situation. Then the seventh clause is engineers shall give evidence, express opinions, or make statements in an objective and truthful manner. You should not be emotional, you should be objective. You with your, you have to think with your head and, get your numbers right, your data right, and then make your statements or give evidence at, in the courts or whatever, or make, sometimes you're asked to express your opinion. Be objective. Get your numbers right. Engineers, professional reports, statements, or testimony before any tribunal shall be objective, and such opinions shall be expressed only on the basis of adequate knowledge and technical competence in the area. But this does not preclude a considered judgment based intuitively on experience and wide relevant knowledge. Right? Sometimes you don't have the data, but you from your experience, you might judge, make a judgment, right? It's okay, but best thing is to have your data and your numbers, your calculations or whatever, so that you can back it up, whatever you're expressing. And precise, good communication is important. And the second one is honesty. Engineers shall reveal the existence of any interest, pecuniary or otherwise. Pecuniary means money, right? Financial or otherwise, that could be taken to affect their judgment in a technical matter about which they are making a statement or giving evidence. So that is expose any conflict of interest, right? If you are asked to say something, and if you already are being paid by one of the parties or something, you have to be open about it. Clause 7, that's the last clause is on CPD, continuing professional development. Engineers shall continue their professional development throughout their careers and shall actively assist and encourage engineers under their direction to advance their knowledge and experience. Not only they should do it themselves, they should get their juniors also to advance their knowledge, right? Lifelong learning shall encourage the professional employees and subordinates to further their education, and second one is shall take a positive interest in and encourage their fellow engineers actively to support the institution and other bodies which further the general interest of the profession. Involvement with the IESL and other professional bodies. Okay, so that's the last one on CPD, continuing professional development. It's very important that you continue to develop yourself, your knowledge on various, current activities and current professional activities, and also get your juniors, encourage your juniors. Sometimes, we find actually from the university side, we find sometimes that the junior engineers are not released for various postgraduate or CPD programs due to the pressure of work. But it is up to the senior engineers to make sure that their juniors do get the continuing professional development. Actually, it is for their own organization's benefit. But sometimes, most of the time they do that. They do acknowledge that and they do it. But sometimes you find that senior engineers are not that encouraging, and that's not very good, right? So that's the last one, I think. Yeah. So to summarize the 8 clauses, first clause is about being concerned about people, right? Public interest. Second one is uphold the honor of the profession. Third clause is about commitment to sustainability. Okay. Fourth one is develop your reputation through your own achievements. Right? You should not be make use of others' ideas for your and say that it's your own. Yeah. Fifth one is practice only in area of specialization, your own area of specialization. Practice. Sixth one is be loyal to your employer. Seventh one is be truthful in reporting. Eighth one is be involved in lifelong learning. So the 8 clauses basically are these. I just put this because it's easy to remember this way. Right? There are 8 clauses, and each clause, of course, has several rules. But at least you should be able to memorize these 8. Okay, so I was talking, and hopefully you all were listening. Are there any questions? I don't see anything in the chat box yet. What happened? Okay. Right. Any questions or points that you would like to talk about? Either you can unmute yourself and talk, or you can write on in the chat. Nothing? Okay, there's a chat. Let's see. Thank you very much, Padam, for the very clear explanations. Okay, I'm not done yet. I have some more slides, right? Yeah, thank you for the comment. Yeah, but I just wanted to give a brief break for you to, clarify anything. If not, I'll continue. Okay. Now, so this was mainly about IESL code of ethics, and earlier I was talking about why you need a code of ethics, right? Then looking at the Engineering Council of Sri Lanka, ECSL. I hope all of you are aware of the existence of this. It started in 2018. That's the year that I was president of IESL. Right, so they set it up, and it's been functioning. And the aim of establishing this engineering council was for the maintenance of professional standards and conduct of engineering practitioners. So, as you know, this is not only for engineers, right? Engineering practitioners. There are several levels of practitioners. Registration of different categories of engineering practitioners, and to provide for matters connected therewith or incidental thereto. Okay, so this is the objective of establishing the engineering council. So these are the different levels of engineering practitioners, right? Chartered engineer, as you know, is the highest form, right? So chartered engineers, we have the IESL is the one who is awarding the charter, and we have the members, MIESL, and fellows, FIESL, right? So then, of course, we have the international engineering professionals who have to be chartered engineers, and then there are other things that are tested, and then you get the international engineering, PE, international professional engineer, right? So, so those are the what we call the corporate members. Then engineering council also has a category called associate engineers, who all of you must be associate engineers, I hope, right? Because that's where that list also comes from the IESL. Associate members are registered as associate engineers. Then affiliate engineers, affiliate members of IESL go as affiliate engineers. Then we have the incorporated engineers, IEng. Actually, this list goes from the Institution of Incorporated Engineers, the NDT diplomates. And they have these two categories, engineering diplomates and incorporated engineer. And then engineering technician is the technically qualified practitioners who are actually who come under the government. I forget the name of the organization, no, but yeah, so that list goes from there. So IESL is responsible for associate engineers and the corporate chartered engineers. Sorry. Ethical conduct for engineering professionals according to the ECSL. Engineering profession has a direct and vital impact on the quality of life for all people. General public therefore expect all members of this profession to exhibit the highest standards of honesty and integrity. Accordingly, the services provided by engineers require honesty, dependability, impartiality, fairness, and equity. Right? They must be dedicated to the protection of the public health, safety, and welfare in all their professional acts. They must perform under a standard of professional behavior that requires adherence to the highest principles of ethical conduct. This is quoting from the ECSL website, right? So the Engineering Council has a code of conduct, which is, there's no conflict, right? Basically, this is a subset of IESL Code of Ethics. So all engineering professionals, while in discharge of their professional duties, so here all engineering professionals, not only the chartered engineers, right? Our one is mainly for chartered engineers. Uphold the highest standards of professional conduct, including honesty, integrity, fairness, reliability, and trustworthiness. That's the number one. Second one is hold paramount the safety, health, and welfare of the public and act with concern to minimize adverse effects on the environment in application of engineering technical solutions. So this is actually the two of our clauses are included there, the clause 1 and clause 3 about the environment and the public. Perform professional services only in the areas of their competence while accepting responsibility for their professional advice, decisions, and activities. So this is talking about working in our own specialization. Fourth one is avoid all conduct or practice that deceives the public or their employer and not be influenced in their professional discharge of duties by conflict of interest. Next one is not attempt to damage, criticize maliciously or falsely, directly or indirectly, the professional reputation, prospect, practice, or employment of other engineering professionals. Give credit for professional work to whom credit is due and recognize the proprietary interests of others, right? The last one, they have only 6 clauses. The last one is issue public statements, professional reports or testimony only in an objective and truthful manner. Include all relevant and pertinent information in such reports, statements, or testimony. So this is about our clause 7, I think, eh? Reporting. So now here, actually this table, I borrowed it from Mr. Russell De Silva. He had done a nice table. So what I did was I just copied his slide here, right? So he is comparing the IESL Code of Ethics and other engineering institutions, international ones. Oh dear, I can't remember what FIAN is now. Sorry, it's escaping my mind what FIAN stands for. Anyway, so IC is IC London. EA again, I can't quite remember. IEEE is the US one, and American Society of Civil Engineers. I'm sorry, I'll have to go back and get these two names. Engineers Australia. EA is Engineers Australia. FIANI, I can't remember. Anyway, so the 8 clauses that we have are here. And what he has done is he has compared our clauses with the clauses. The clauses are not exactly the same, but then looking at the focus areas, he has tried to compare our one with the other international ones, right? And so he has found that the first one, the responsibility towards the public or the people, is there in all these codes of ethics, engineering codes of ethics, right? Then the honor of the profession is there, not in everything, but ICE, Engineers Australia and American Society of Civil Engineers, they have that clause. Sustainability is there again in all these clauses, in all these codes, right? And, working about, talking about our own achievements is there in the American Society of Civil Engineers, but not in the others. It's not specifically highlighted. Then working in your own specialization is there again in all, right? And then loyalty is there in IESL, FIANI, Engineers Australia, and IEEE. Truthfulness is there in most of them. Lifelong learning is also there in all these, right? So these 4, being responsible for the public, sustainability, working in our own specialization, and lifelong learning requirement, is there in all these international ones as well as our one. So it's good to remember. So it shows that those focal areas are very, very important as a professional engineer. So what I did was I just added the Engineering Council one here. So here again, public is there. In IESL is the second clause, but it's there. Then honor of the profession is there. Are you saying something to me, or is that, oops, number? Oh, sorry. Suddenly a lot have come. To which kind of qualification should have awarded the affiliate member category? Okay. Affiliate member is IESL has an affiliate member category in 3-year degrees. If you have a 3-year engineering degree, recognized by Sydney Accord, you can become an affiliate member. So if you are an affiliate member of IESL, the list goes to the engineering council, and you get the affiliate member category. Okay, so that's that. Do we have to memorize the ECSL code of conduct as well? Why not? No, not to memorize per se, but then, just look at the focus areas like this. It'll be good, right? Madam, is there separate questions from IESL Code of Ethics and ECL? No, there won't be a particular question. It's just actually I hope you have seen the structure of the paper. So there'll be 2 questions to answer one, right? So not ECSL.
Yeah.
ECSL may be incorporated into the IESL. Main thing is the IESL Code of Ethics here, right? I don't know what the questions are going to be, but even last year, I think there was something about ECSL. I can't remember also. Anyway, the main thing will be the IESL Code of Ethics, and that also you are not expected to memorize the whole thing, because you should not memorize it. It should be in your body, like, it should come when you're working, right? It's once you read it, and then, it's like you are not expected to say clause 1, rule 1.5 is this, but it should be in your body, so that if you are faced with a situation where you have to use it, it should come automatically to you. That's what is expected. Okay, so until maybe you can, you can have a copy of the Code of Ethics and go by it, but then it doesn't happen that way. Life doesn't happen that way. You're faced with a situation, and you have to, uh, in your mind, in your heart, do the right thing. Is it the right thing to do? Okay, so Code of Ethics is there to guide you, but it doesn't mean that, remembering afterwards that it's in the Code of Ethics is going to be of much help if you have done the wrong thing. I don't know whether I'm confusing you. For the exam, of course, just have the eight clauses in mind, and the applications where you will not be asked what is clause 5, rule 5.3. It won't be asked like that. It will be mostly about situations, and when you're faced with a situation, how do you handle it? Or something about ethics, why ethics are important, things like that might come, right? Or the common, like I think last time I asked, what are the common areas, focus areas in international engineering codes of ethics. So those are things that you should remember. Okay. Okay, how many questions from ethics will be there in the paper? As I said, there'll be 2 to answer 1. Okay, what is this question? No, sorry, this question about can we answer both questions? No, ethics, I think you are expected to answer 1 out of the 2. Better get it clarified from Sanjeeva, but as far as I remember, the choice is one ethics question. And then there are other questions. That structure, you better check with Sanjeeva or the membership division. Madam, please clearly explain the role of the profession incorporated engineers and associate engineers in the working. You are going beyond the scope of my my role here. I think this is something that you'll have to clarify with IESL. But not only IESL, I think the government and all that. There may be some, I don't know why you're asking me this question. Did you find that there is some conflict with Nimalananthan? Can you talk to me?
Yes, madam. Because
Yeah.
I have some confusion, the incorporated engineers and our institution now, there's engineering recruitment internally. So there are both the IESL qualified people and the incorporated engineers. So normally, so that's why I just want to take into one hand. So what is the difference in between the
No.
incorporated engineers and the associate engineers?
Associate engineer means our 4-year
Yes,
degree one,
yes.
right?
That one yes. That
Incorporated
incorporated
engineers,
engineers.
incorporated engineers are the members of the IESL. Actually, they are basically NDT qualified.
NDT, yes.
NDT,
Qualified
yes.
people.
Hmm.
Ah, yes, sir. Thank you.
The
Thank you,
IESL,
madam.
I don't know whether you are confused because in for example, in UK, they call incorporated engineer the 3-year degree.
Ah, okay.
But here, right now, can someone please mute yourselves? Okay. So here, incorporated engineer means the members of Institute of Incorporated Engineers who are NDT qualified. I think after, so diplomates are also coming from there. I think after some number of years of experience, they become incorporated engineer. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, diplomates are those who are having engineering diplomas, and incorporated engineers are those who are members of corporate members of IESL. What is this last one? Could you clarify why it is functioning as two bodies, IESL and ECSL? IESL is actually the we are the ones who are awarding the charter and doing the working with the professional engineers, associate members, and we have our CPD, and we are the established body of engineers, whereas Engineering Council is a regulating body only. It's a government organization directly under the government. We are independent. IESL is independent of the government. Engineering Council is a government organization who is setting those the objectives are there. That is for maintenance of professional standards and oops. Yeah. Let me get rid of this. What happened here? Like, I don't know how to get rid of this. No. Okay. Yeah, so these are the functions of the Engineering Council. They are basically a regulatory body, whereas we are a professional body where we discuss things and we work with for the upliftment of the engineering profession and things like that. Right, so that's basically the difference. The main purpose of setting up the Engineering Council was to register the engineering practitioners. Okay. Okay, I had a few more slides. You should. Yeah, so shall we move on? Okay, so just bear in mind, it's important. I think you should be able to memorize these, right? These 8 focus areas of our code of ethics, and then the common ones that are coming up in many of the international codes. And incidentally, lifelong learning is not there in our engineering council. And sustainability, you can't see it's not there because it is there as a part of the public. This one, they're talking about environment, but not as much as it should, I think, as far as I'm concerned. And lifelong learning is the other thing that's missing from the engineering council. Okay, so this is again from Mr. Russell De Silva's presentation. It says this famous Herbert Hoover is a very famous US engineer. Hoover Dam, if you remember, if you have heard of it, Hoover Dam is built in the name in his honor. I think he's the great liability of the engineer compared to men of other professions is that his works are out in the open where all can see them. His acts, step by step, are in hard substance. He cannot bury his mistakes in the grave like the doctors. He cannot argue them into thin air or blame the judge like the lawyers. He cannot, like the architects, cover his failures with trees and vines. He cannot, like the politicians, screen his shortcomings by blaming his opponents and hope the people will forget. The engineer simply cannot deny he did it. If his works do not work, he is damned. Right, so that's the responsibility of the engineer. He's showing that what we do is out in the open and people can see it and we can't hide it. So that's why our behavior is very, very important. Our code of ethics, our ethical behavior is very open for people to see, right? So it's an added responsibility, more so than, according to him, more so than other professionals. I don't know. Okay, I'll take a few minutes to do 2 examples, right? Situations where just to get it absorbed into you, how you should be looking at situations. So the first one is a road going through a town needs to be widened to reduce the traffic congestion during peak hours. You have done the design to increase the traffic speed by 50%. And the new alignment requires the acquisition of land in order to provide the required curvature, right? When the standard design code of practice is used, the curvature of a bend has to be reduced. Thus, acquisition has to be more on one side of the road. Some houses will also be damaged due to the project, right? So it's not, when there's a bend, you reduce the curvature, that means you're acquiring unequal amounts from the 2 sides of the road. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say here, right? Some houses will also be damaged due to the project. First question I'm asking is, people of the area have complained to their politician that the engineer has not done the design properly, as they feel that the acquisition should be equal on both sides of the existing road. And the politician insists that you change the design to accommodate the people's request. Which course of action will you take? So what I would like you to do is, there are some more questions here. Let's see. Oops. Can you give some guidance on effectively answer, especially in the code of ethics related question in the exams? You all have answered so many questions during 4 years of undergraduate and all that. Why do you want guidance on this one? You're not sure what you really expect. They will be structured questions, right? So you answer in essay, structured essay type. So I don't really understand what you mean by giving guidance. Best thing is to have a look at the past papers. They must be available, no? Are the past papers available?
Yes,
No,
madam.
madam. Yeah.
Okay, someone who said yes, please tell how to get it. Someone said yes, no? Is it available on the web or?
I couldn't get from the web, madam. So that's why if there any access, then if anyone who got that, if they can tell, then I can take that.
Yes, in the IESL as well, it says.
The past papers has been already uploaded to the group, madam. There is a WhatsApp group. Also, if someone can get from the IESL library. And also the link has been sent through the email by the IESL.
Okay, so you got your answer, Nimale.
Oh, thank you, madam. Okay, I will check.
Then this one, all three NTT, HND and TTI qualified persons are getting IESL membership, madam. Not directly, no, they have to do double IESL membership. Sorry. Okay, thank you. So they must be the diplomats, I think. Then after some years of experience or something, they may be getting the incorporated engineer. Madam, when answering question on paper, we need to give more description or precise points are enough. Not bullet points. You have to, communication is important, right? So bullet points are not going to give me enough information. I want answers, proper answers. Okay. Is an 8-point summary enough for the memorizing enough, but you have to know your background. Okay. In the sense, I'm not going to ask you what are the code, the clauses in the code of ethics. What are the 8, and for you to give no. That's not how it's going to work. It will be essay type, right? So what I told you to remember is so that you get an idea of what it is. Memorize in that sense, the focus areas. But you have to expand on when you're writing. Okay? To get rid of this again. Okay, so I was going to say now, you remember the situation, right? Situation where there's a road that is slow, the traffic speed is low, you want to widen the road to get a higher speed, and you have done the design, but people are concerned about the acquisition. They think that you should acquire equal width from both sides, but your design says otherwise because your curvature has to be changed, right? So okay, so people of the area have complained to their politician that the engineer has not done the design properly, and the politician wants you to do it the way people tell you to do. Which course of action would you change? Would you take? Yeah, I was going to say now, if you write down the number here, maybe if you can put it into the chat, we'll see how, and also keep it to yourself. We'll at the end of it, we'll see how we are faring, right? So in this one, which course of action will you take? B is change the alignment to satisfy the people's request as you are concerned about the people. Request your employer for a transfer as the pressure is too much to maintain the correct design. Change your design calculations not considered in the code of practice and give a different alignment. Discuss with your employer and call a meeting with the politician and the affected people and explain the reasons for the design and convince them to accept the new alignment. Which course of action will you take? B, C, D, or E? Are you putting them in the chat? Right, okay. We'll have a look at it after. Right, so we move on to the second question. At the time of preparing the specification for the materials for construction, you find that the supplier is contacting you to influence you to write the specifications according to the materials that they have, and they promise to take you to their factory in China to show you their material production systems. Does that sound familiar? Maybe not this particular thing, but it's quite common. No, some people, they want to show how it's done there, and maybe when you are the person who is making the decision, they want to give you a trip and show you around, not only the factory, maybe the sightseeing also. However, you know that the quality of the work would be better and the durability will be much better if your specifications are higher. So what they want to do is to make you lower the specifications according to their product, right? You will go and inspect their factory and write the specifications according to their product. Next one is you will not listen to them, but will write the specifications for the best available materials. Next one is you will write the specifications according to their product, but will postpone the visit until after the contract is awarded. Next one is you will write the specifications according to their product, but will not accept the foreign trip. Okay? Got your answers? Let's
Yes,
move on. Okay, let's move on. We'll have a look at them afterwards. At the time of evaluation of bids, there are several bids that satisfy the specifications, what we call responsive bids. The lowest responsive bid is from a party which is not on good terms with the minister. As a chairperson of the technical evaluation committee, you have to write the tech report and make a recommendation for the selection of the contractor. There is a pressure from the minister not to select the lowest responsive bidder because he's not either from a different party or whatever. So he doesn't want the lowest responsive bidder to be the selected one. You will recommend the second lowest bid because you know that the work will get delayed if you recommend the lowest bid, as the ministry will not accept the TEC recommendation due to political pressure. Now you want to do the work also because there's a time constraint also, right? So you will will you recommend the second lowest bid? You will write the TEC report very carefully, spelling out all the details and recommend the lowest responsive bidder in spite of the political pressure, even though there will be delays and you may face unfavorable consequences. Third one is you will avoid the situation by reporting sick. Fourth one is you will contact the second lowest bidder and tell them to submit a revised bid lower than the lowest responsive bid so that you can recommend it and get the job done without delay. Which one will you do? Right? I can see some answers coming, so let's move to the next one. Fourth question. When the construction is ongoing, you realize that there is a funeral house by the roadside and the road widening activities will be a hindrance to the funeral proceedings. If you stop the construction activities, there will be a delay in the work schedule and you will be questioned by your superior officers. What would you do? You will continue the construction without stopping any activities as it is your duty to complete the work on schedule. You will speak to the family and apologize, but continue the construction work because you need to meet the deadlines. Next one, you will change your program slightly so that the construction in that part of the road is temporarily stopped until the funeral activities are over. Next one is you will inform your boss that the work has to be stopped and request for an extension because of the funeral. What will you do? Now you should be having the code of ethics at the back of your head, right, when you're answering. The priority. Okay, the next one. The construction involves cutting a deep trench along the boundary of a house. The site conditions show that the shoring provided in the design is not sufficient to support the excavation. If you provide additional support, the cost and time will overrun. If you provide shoring as specified, your judgment says that there will be a danger to the workers as well as the adjoining private property. You carry what would you do? You decide to carry out the work as specified, as it is your duty. You have been told to do it, so you do it. You warn your workers and owners of the adjoining property and carry out the work as specified. You consult your senior engineer and get authorization for a deviation. You provide additional support as your prime concern is safety of the people. What would you do? Be the last question on that situation. A batch of material that is supplied does not conform to the specifications. You will negotiate with the supplier for a lower price and accept the material as there will be a saving of public funds. Right? You will accept the material anyway because if the project gets delayed, you will be blamed. Next one, you will accept the material and pay for it, but will not use it as you know that the quality of work will be affected. Next one is you will reject the batch, giving reasons and insist on the supplier providing the material of correct specifications or recall for quotations. What would you do? Okay, so that's those 6 questions are on that particular situation. And I can see that you have given the answers, right? I hope you took down on a paper or something also, because good to see where you are going, right? So the first one, what was the answer? E, I saw this, you all had, most of you had written E, right? Discuss with the employer and call a meeting with the politician and the affected people and explain the reasons for the design and convince them to accept the new alignment. Because you should not be changing according to the people's wish when you have to have your standards, right? Engineering standards are a top priority. Just because people, we are serving the people, fine, but people are not the ones who are doing the design. It's up to the engineer to do the design, right? So you do the design correctly, convince them that this is the right way of doing it. That's how you should be approaching it. I think most of you had given it as E, right? Yeah. Okay, the second one, preparing the specifications for the materials for construction. You offered a trip and all that. So that one, I saw at least one. T is the one, right? Because you will not listen to them. You should not be listening to those who are bidding. You write the specifications for the best available materials, and if they are not, if any supply is not up to the mark, that's their problem, right? And foreign trip or no foreign trip, you should not compromise on the quality of materials. And I think you have got it right. Then the next one is about the evaluation of bids and the politician trying to pressurize you because you are, according to your evaluation, the best one is not his favorite. What will you do? You can't be listening to the politician just because he has his favorites, right? So it's H. You will write the TEC report very carefully, spelling out all the details and recommend the lowest responsive bidder in spite of the political pressure. You can't, as it's according to ethical standards, you should be doing that. So H is the answer, right? Next one is about the funeral house. It's this one because you should not. If there is a possibility, you should not be just be blind. You should not be rigid about your work because we are, as you say, we are a people serving profession. You don't have to. If there's a issue with work, I mean that's another thing. But if possible, if this will be the most desirable way of doing it, right? You will change your program slightly so that the construction in that part of the road is temporarily stopped until the funeral activities are over. How did you do it? Are there any other answers to this? Can you unmute and tell me?
Yes, ma'am. I thought answer number H would be the appropriate one.
Speak to the family and apologize, but continue the construction work because you need to meet the deadline. Yeah, it depends on the circumstances actually. If there's no other way, to me, IE is ideal if that
IE.
is a possibility, right? Because if there's a possibility of going ahead with the work without stopping, and if it's a long stretch of road and you can do something else and let these people have their funeral, to me that's the best option. Of course, if that is not possible, you may have to. So I mean, I can't say you are wrong, but if this possibility was there, wouldn't you take that? Why wouldn't you take it?
Madam, why
Ma'am,
not?
if the program, if we change the program slightly, how about let's just say, like, I'm just giving a suggestion, like, if another large set of number of families are also there on the other sides are just gonna get affected likewise, so we can think of it on in that aspect as well, right?
True. I mean, so
Change
it's
of program in a slightly manner could affect, I mean, this is just one family, so like
but it's a
in a
funeral, so
social
that
aspect.
they're having that was my take on it, was that they are having a funeral, which means that there'll be a lot of people coming there, and then they will need the use of the road. If the road is being there's some construction going on, that will be definitely going to be a hindrance to their activity. I was thinking, if possible, uh, if at all possible now, I mean, yeah. So it's a circumstances, but to me, this is the most appropriate. But if you, because here you are serving the public, at the same time, you're not stopping your work, you're not uh, delaying your work, but there's you are being innovative, you are being sympathetic, at the same time you're being creative. That's what I was thinking when I was writing this answer.
Yes, ma'am,
If that,
thanks, understood.
yeah, okay. If that's not a problem, that's not a possibility, of course, you definitely, I
Excuse me,
agree with
ma'am.
you that you
Excuse
should
me.
just.
If it is a wedding house, we can think about it. As it is a funeral house, so we can go with the option I is more sympathy. I think it's better. I also feel same like that.
Yeah, no, whatever it
Wedding
is.
house, if it is a wedding house is different. As it is a funeral, so we can slightly change the program.
That's why I put a funeral nurse, but I don't know. I mean, so if you can accommodate uh, people's, you know, people's requirements without upsetting your own program, that will be the ideal. I think that's what I was thinking. Ethically, because uh, if you did this, I don't think it's unethical. Definitely, if you did H, it's not unethical. But if there's a better choice of doing it, better way of doing it, that is preferred. That's okay. So I agree with you in the sense that if you deviate too much from your work, it may affect in other ways, in which case you have to make that decision, right? But justify it in your own mind. It's okay. Next one is about the trench. What's the answer you had?
Madam, I think for that particular case, we have to think about the villages, this kind of things, and we, as a project manager, we have to manage by covering night work. So working time increasing or something. As of the code of ethics, we have second code of ethics, we have to think about the public for a funeral case.
Okay. So, yeah, if I also think in that lines actually, if you have the possibility of changing your program uh, to accommodate the public interest, I think that's better. That's what I was thinking of. I agree with you. Coming to the next one. What would you do if you provide shoring as specified? Your judgment says that there will be a danger to the workers as well as the adjoining private property. Would you still go ahead because you are told that's the way to do it? What is the answer? To me, it's C. You consult your senior engineer and get authorization for deviation. You can't do it on your own because the cost will go up. Unless if you are having some authorization, you should not be just doing it on your own. That's why I put this one and get the authorization. Definitely not carry out, knowing that it's going to be harmful, you should not be doing as it is. Even after warning your workers and owners, it's not ethical to do it. Once you have found out that it's going to be affecting them, just telling them is not going to be effective enough. So it's C, right? A batch of material that is supplied does not conform to the specifications. You will have to reject the batch, isn't it? You can't play around with the quality. It's standards have to be maintained. So it's S. Okay, so if you look at the numbers of the answers, you would see that I have structured it so that ETHICS, ethics. These numbers don't mean anything, A, P, Q, R, S, C, and A, B, C, D, some other place, but I just wanted to, this is how the answers are going to be. You would have seen. Okay, then the second one, do we have time for another one? No. I hope, so this is another similar one. Yeah. I will stop with that because we have gone past the 2 hours. So I hope you learned something out of this. What does the chat say? Anything?
Yeah, Madam, one last question
Mhm.
regarding the 8 clauses. Like, is there any precedence, like a order? For example, let's say that the clause number 2 is about the profession and clause number 3 is about the sustainability. Like, if we are in a situation that we need to compromise clause 2 and comply with clause 3, that kind of situation, is there any precedence, the order in the
Yeah,
clauses?
it's in the order of precedence actually. Clause 1 is the most important, top priority.
So,
If you have
in a
if
case that,
public interest is
madam. You go ahead, madam.
right, so it's in if you really have to go forfeit one for the other, forfeit the lower the higher numbers, 7, 8 rather than 1, 2. That's the idea. Somewhere they also, we did mention that, public interest is the number 1.
So, madam, in that case,
Mhm.
so we can compromise sustainability and keep bike upholding the honor of the profession, right?
Yeah, this is what I don't know whether you didn't hear me say it. Now, this was done about 2015, 16, at least 10 years ago. At that time, sustainability, of course, my field is sustainability, but sustainability is not a key, so much a key as it is now. I think now, I did mention this in the lecture today.
Okay, sorry.
Maybe you have to rethink it and, move sustainability further up. I did say that. So,
Okay. I have missed it. Sorry.
sustainability is very, very important. Now more so than it was 10 years ago. So, yeah. So, when you're compromising, make sure that you're not compromising something against your conscience, right? But like profession against the public takes precedence. Loyalty to your clients against the public takes precedence. Right? That's how we try to order it in that way. The most important ones to be the first. But that doesn't mean that if that is only effective if there is a conflict. Okay.
Madam, yeah, interesting situation I want to highlight. Let's say if we get a chance to work on a weapons design, can we do that ethically?
Mm. Engineers do that, no? I, eh, um,
Compromises the safety of people, right?
safe
Safety of people.
the design. Yeah, that's a trick question actually. Why do you do that? Why do you design weapons? So in which case then no engineers should do it. In that case, what will happen? I don't know what will happen. I hope non-engineers will not do it because at least engineers will have some standards. I don't know. These are really, really very important questions for sure, but need another forum to discuss, no? Especially under the present world situation. What if no one has designed any of these weapons? What would the world be a better place? I don't know. Good to think in those lines, actually. Whoever it was who asked that question, should the engineers decide not to design weapons? Our ethics don't completely tell us not to. You can't say it's not. I really don't know. I don't know. We have to have another conversation on that. How can we justify engineers doing that? Ne? We know engineers do that. Design, weapon design is done by engineers. How can they justify? I don't know. Anyway, thank you for that really mind-boggling question. Shall we make it, call it a day?
Okay, thank you, madam.
Yeah, wish you all the best at the exam. Right? And about the past papers, I think you got the answers there. Huh? Shall we?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Can think about it as defense and protection. Yeah, that's one way of looking at it. But then, yeah, defending your own territory, like. I think it can be done for our national safety. Yeah, then there is offensive weapons. I don't know. Okay. Right then. Good night.
Thank you, madam.
And madam.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam. Good night.
Thank you,
Thank
madam.
you, madam.
Thanks, ma'am.
Welcome.
Thank you, madam.
You're welcome. Hope that we'll. I hope I will have a good set of answers to read